Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Give me the Star Wars, don't let them end. Star Wars, if they should bar wars, please let these Star Wars stay.
Hello, and welcome to a thing of people sitting around and talking into microphones. I don't think there's a word for that kind of thing yet, so we're just gonna...
Podcast.
Oh, that's not bad. I like
that?
that. I'm not sure what it originates from, but...
Talkcast?
Talk pod.
Bro, spit.
A cast bomb?
Anyway, we're here to talk about Star Wars. More importantly,
Star pod. Escape pod.
the state of Disney as it is now, and Star Wars, I should say, being owned by Disney. We're here to talk about all of it. Literally as much Star Wars as we can possibly think of. Anything that is making that corporation money with those two words. We're to talk about it because we're nerds, and that's what we do. So let's just go ahead and start right off the bat. We're going to say spoilers for every Star Wars media that's been released to this date. That includes Mandalorian Season 2. If you don't want to be spoiled for the last episode, what's wrong with you? It's already been out for like a month. So,
If you haven't watched it yet, there's
Yeah.
a problem.
and we're going to spoil all the movies, and, you know, we might spoil the end of Rise of the Resistance, the theme park ride, the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, all of it. It's all out there.
Fair game.
There's a very long disclaimer saying, spoiler alert. Don't complain if you're not up to date, because if you're not, why else are you listening to this? So, Mandalorian, Season 2. It was a disaster.
No.
No, I'm kidding.
Not at all.
No, it was a pretty good season. I personally think I prefer the first season. But,
How dare you?
wait, have I been calling it The Mandalorian this whole time? I meant the Baby Yoda show.
Well,
Should
that's
we
the thing.
wait?
That's
Featuring
not what it is.
Mando.
And that is why so many people are upset. This was something that had to happen.
Brandon's calling for a timeout.
Should we introduce ourselves?
Oh, I guess we should.
Oh,
Probably a smart idea.
Yeah,
That's probably.
instead of just four random male voices. I'm Greg. I'm kind of an asshole, and I've been a fan of Star Wars since I was probably like 6 years old, and the prequels were coming out, and, you know, I've just been kind of following that nerd wave. But, like, you know, as I grown up, I'm not like, I wouldn't say I go out of my way to watch every single piece of Star Wars media. Like, that's why I haven't seen Clone Wars and Rebels and all that stuff that is, I guess, relevant now.
Extremely relevant.
Yeah, didn't think it was gonna be, but now I got to do fucking homework just to watch a Disney Plus series.
You gotta do your nerd work.
But yeah, that's
Well,
me.
Cool. And my name's Brandon. I'm pretty much the same except the opposite. I've been watching it the same amount of time, but I am a lot more optimistic about Star Wars as a whole.
Yeah,
I was excited for Rise of Skywalker, but we all know how that went.
It should be said I'm gonna be very cynical throughout this whole thing.
That's
just
true.
the way I am.
And I'm Clark, of course, a Star Wars fan. You know, since that age where the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters
Oh, you guys hearing
was
that?
one of the original trilogy. Probably Empire Strikes Back
Mike.
at that point, honestly.
I think we just picked up the cat on the microphone. Sorry for the distraction.
So yeah, I got to grow up with seeing the original trilogy before 1, 2, and 3, and you know, was at that age where 1, 2, and 3 were still directed towards that age group, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
They had some
that's
amazing toys.
OG
that's
Star
about where I
Wars fan.
stand. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've got our friend Xavier here, our audio engineer, but also equally qualified Star Wars nerd,
Hello.
if not more so.
Very. I'm more of a Star Wars gamer nerd, I guess, and like
There you
EU now expanded universe. So
Legends,
Legends,
whatever the fuck.
expanded universe, Legends.
It's all
whatever you
canon.
wanna
Who
call it.
cares? Yeah.
They're recanonizing it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
They're picking and choosing, but they're doing
But
it. So Luke Skywalker shows up. Let's talk about it. He whips out his big green dong of a lightsaber and he murders all those. What are they called?
Dark Troopers?
Dark
Dark Troopers.
Because you just have to pick like some sort of like catchy word and then add troopers after it.
Yep.
That's all it really takes to name a new trooper. Shock Trooper, Snow Trooper,
Storm Trooper.
Sand Trooper,
Yeah.
Sith Trooper in Episode 9.
Well, you know, I'm fine with how it ended with Grogu being taken by a Jedi.
Right.
You know, I don't know if it necessarily needed to be Luke Skywalker. Like, I think they could have done, you know.
But it didn't come out of nowhere either.
That's
Which I think
true.
is what a lot of people have been saying. They're like, they didn't even set it up. It came out of no. Like,
Well,
okay,
no, I mean they
they
set the whole
literally
thing
set it up like 2 episodes.
Well, right, but
before
we just
that.
didn't know who it would be because everybody thought
Right.
it would be Ahsoka, but it wasn't. And then I
Well,
mean,
if
they were gonna
not Ahsoka in that timeline.
who
right?
was qualified, right? So then otherwise, I was 100% convinced it was going to be Cal, but
Yeah.
Cal
Well,
from
Season
you said,
1,
unless
everyone
they're-
was,
Cal
you know,
Kestis.
saying, "Oh, Mandalorian is so cool because it's completely detached from the original trilogy story. It's its
Yeah.
own thing." And I mean, now with this, it's like tied right back in there.
I think that's Disney's problem is they can't fucking stop themselves. Like, I saw a headline the other day where it was like, how Star Wars is reimagining itself, or how Lucasfilm is reimagining Star Wars like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's like,
They're not even the same thing. They're not comparable in any way, shape, or form.
but it's like, it's going to be like Fast and the Furious where they just try to retroactively connect everything when they were never connected in the first place, kind of thing.
sort
what
of.
we're getting right
but-
now.
That's what's, yeah.
With
It's-
Solo and Darth Maul coming in, and, like, leading the underbelly of the world, you know,
Right.
so to speak.
Which is interesting. I like that kind of stuff.
And we knew he was alive because he shows down with Ben Kenobi, you know, for the final duel in Tatooine. So we knew he was alive. It was really cool. Actually, that was the saving grace for Solo for me, with Darth Maul showing up at the very end, pulling the strings from the background.
Well, but you've seen
But
Yeah,
I've seen
but you had
all
like
the
seen
animated. I've
Clones
seen all
and
Clone
Rebels.
Yeah.
Wars,
So like
Rebels,
for
and-
people like us,
No, that's not.
as soon as Darth Maul shows up in Solo, for those of us that haven't seen that stuff, we're like, what the fuck? Why is Darth Maul in this movie? Where did he come from? Like, what?
Yep.
You didn't died?
No,
Like, with
it-
none
yeah.
if you only stick to the movies, you have no context,
That's
and
fair.
that's
If you haven't seen
what's a
Clone
little
Wars, you've missed
frustrating.
Palpatine fighting Darth Maul with mechanical legs. Or first of all, you've missed Darth Maul turning into like a mechanical spider,
Right.
And like having dissociative identity disorder and going crazy, like being
Like
really
Scorpion
crazy.
It's like
King.
Split, but in the
Scorpion
Star
King,
Wars universe.
exactly.
Literally,
On a rock.
it's like Split,
What is
like
the,
literally, because
yeah.
he was split in half,
Yep.
and now his
Lost in
identity is
space.
Yes, but every single person who has fallen down some giant pit like that in Star Wars has come back, except
Yeah.
for Mace Windu. So that's who I was hoping for.
And George
at the
has said
end
that
of-
Mace Windu could have survived.
I mean,
I mean, there was a reason I wrote a Mace Windu fan fiction in 4th grade where he survives and he has to face off against teenage Boba Fett. It was a whole thing. Okay, we just had a little bit of a technical difficulty. This is our first time. Give us a break. Anyway, the whole thing with Star Wars that they're trying to do recently is it seems like they're trying to tie together all the different like ancillary aspects of the extended universe, if you will, like with Darth Maul and Solo. I feel like that's what they're trying to do with Mandalorian Season 2, with all these characters from other shows. I talked about it at the beginning, like with Bo-Katan and all them from Rebels and Ahsoka, which, no offense to the people that love Ahsoka, but I really don't know thing one about her, because I only ever saw the Clone Wars movie, which was just like the first 3 episodes cobbled together. So I'm only just now getting into the actual series. So I don't really know her as a character. So when it, personally, for me, when she shows up in the episode called The Jedi and The Mandalorian, I'm like, oh, okay.
fair enough, but also like it's a lot of saving face for what the shit show of the sequels turned into.
That's fair. Yeah, they're probably pumping up the fan service just to appease.
And, well, it's doing fan
people.
service in the right way.
Yeah.
Like, I hope J.J. Abrams is sitting in the corner eating a sock while Ryan Johnson is watching him do it like a voyeur and realizing that Jon Favreau is having the threesome of his lifetime in front of the both of them.
I think it would have been a great job for them to have used Cal Kestis
Yeah, I really thought that was what was going to happen.
as the Jedi.
Instead of Luke.
Yeah.
Instead
Or
of
even
Luke.
Ezra.
Or instead of
this would've been
Ahsoka.
Well, and again, I really, if they were gonna do fan service and it was like, okay, everybody who's survived a fall is gonna happen, I really, really wanted it to be Mace Windu. Like, I really wanted it to be.
Like
Samuel
they
It would
brought
line up.
Forrest Whitaker's
It would line up a
character
little
from
bit.
Rogue One into
Exactly.
Samuel L. Jackson's like
the
75.
game.
Saw Gerrera's been in a couple
Saw Gerrera,
different.
yeah.
He was
Yeah.
in Rebels as well, and also in Fallen Order.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Where it's like where you're watching something that's supposed to appeal to this mass audience, but like you introduce a character that only fans would know. Like I get that fan service is necessary to like appeal to people and connect certain things, but when you're just like a casual Star Wars viewer, the moment Saw Gerrera shows up, you're like, who the fuck? Who is
Yeah,
this?
that's
Like,
fair.
Well,
it's-
there's
I
only
mean-
so many Jedi, so
Right, that's
who
true,
else
too.
would
I
it
mean,
be,
like-
though?
Like I understand why they
Honestly.
made the decisions they
We-
made, but at the same time, it seems like for these movies that cost $250 million a piece and make over $1 billion each, you think they'd spend a little more time just making the introduction of each character a little bit more. Like, who the fuck is Maz Kanata? I don't know. We'll never fucking find out. She's got butthole eyes. That's all you need to know. She had Luke's lightsaber in a mystery box.
I also think it's weird that they chose Luke for it, even though he's brought back in 7, 8, and 9, and obviously there's no mention of Grogu in that.
Baby
Well,
Yoda.
that's
There
why I
needs to
think
be,
that's
but
why I
it's-
really do think he's gonna probably.
It would have made
He's gonna
plenty of
be
sense to use
killed in
somebody
the.
else.
He's gonna be killed in the second purge.
So the main thing is that Luke doesn't know anything about the Jedi other than what Obi-Wan and Yoda have told him.
Right. I don't
And
even think he's
so-
found that Jedi temple yet with all the sacred Jedi texts.
Oh no,
yet.
probably not. He's probably on the search for something like that.
Right.
When Grogu reached out to him through the Force and called to him, but they did a great job of teasing Thrawn, that Thrawn was still alive through Bo-Katan.
Right, which was another reason
That's
that
another-
everybody thought it was gonna be Ezra.
Because
Right.
because they disappear through the space whales, the hyperspace whales. Thrawn and Ezra are like wrapped in the tentacles of these like hyperspace squid whales, and they disappear. And then Ahsoka and
And who better to
Sabine
bring him
Wren.
back than Robert Rodriguez?
and
See, I can't comment on Thrawn because I don't know how to read. So I've never seen his character in
oh,
anything.
man.
Is he
Yeah.
in like video
He
games?
was the big
Is he
baddie in the expanded universe. So
in like Rebels and stuff?
they have now brought him back from Legends and recanonized him
Right.
through Rebels, right?
Okay.
And so he's the big baddie. He's like the general of all generals of the Empire. But he doesn't do, like, you know how most Imperial forces rule through fear and, like, control and manipulation of their underlings and everything?
Right.
Thrawn is, like, the opposite of that. He is so commanding because he's like Hannibal Lecter. He studies his enemy to the point where he could love his enemy and then understand the enemy and then turn that knowledge of them and flip it completely. And where he knows them so well that he can predict what they're going to do next.
Well, I can't wait for him to show up in season 3 and not have any explanation of any of that because we have to get to a part where he fights Mando with his fists.
They'll have to
And a
give-
lightsaber.
They'll have to. I mean, as much of the fan service as it was to just tease his entrance in general, they'll have to give some kind of backstory to it, or
I'm
it
sure
won't
they're gonna
make
do
it won't-
some,
it,
yeah,
it won't make
off-screen-
sense on the on. It won't make sense on screen, right?
Yeah. And I definitely think it is worth the time as, like, Star Wars fans, right? There's the casual Star Wars fans that just watch the movies and, like, the main releases, right? And they're missing out on so much of this back lore and everything that's going on underneath the surface. Where, yeah, a lot of the stuff that's going on doesn't make sense unless you've watched all 7 seasons of Clone Wars and
All
4
four
seasons of
Rebels, right?
That's relevant to pretty much anybody who's like a casual Star Wars fan that isn't like balls
Yeah.
deep into it, like anybody like us. That would just be
Like, it's awesome that
Right.
Katie Sackhoff is literally like playing the physical version of the character she voiced on the show.
So badass.
But I don't know who that bitch is, so
man,
why do I
so
give a shit when she shows
You're not
up?
a Stargate fan, or...
Right.
She's great for the sci-fi community. She's
Well,
been in so
I
many
mean,
different sci-fi
it-
things.
Even if you've only, I mean, even if you just caught an episode of that show though, and you saw that character for 1 second, they definitely did a perfect representation of it.
No, because it's literally her.
Right. Well,
Well,
right.
also her
Yeah.
character
Right,
is
but like
one
her-
for one.
But I mean, like her headgear, her hair, like
Yeah.
she could have. I mean, who knows? She could have been blonde. You know what I mean? Like
I
they
see what
could
you
like they did a perfect representation. I feel the same way with Ahsoka. Like if you ever even just caught one episode of Clone Wars, like
They did
it
a
looks
perfect
they did
representation
like
of Ahsoka.
Oh, yeah.
Rosario Dawson did a fucking perfect job. Not even just with like the voice, but like the characterization,
physical
her physical,
embodiment.
like the and the fighting with the short saber and everything. Like that was a really cool, like a
And Dave
really,
Filoni said she
really
did the
cool-
research on the character, and she
Yeah.
went back and watched like every
That's
Ahsoka
awesome.
related piece of Star Wars she can get her hands on.
That's really cool.
That's
And then
him. It's Dave Filoni though, right?
Yeah,
He is the one that's tying all these strings together at odd angles.
At a
George Lucas's
certain, yeah, at a
successor.
certain
Every
point,
deep cut in Mando is gonna be. It's got to all go back to him. It's
there's one big
an
knot.
idea he had.
Yeah, there's one big knot somewhere that we're all gonna end up hitting, and like hopefully they can. I mean, I really wish. I was telling Clark this the other day. I really wish they could like find a way to decanonize the sequels, but I mean that'll never happen.
well,
so what
they're
they
gonna
got to do
they're
is
just
just
gonna
save
forget they
face.
ever existed, and they're
No.
gonna
Yeah. It's going to be like how the
It's gonna be a
sequels treated the
silent
prequels.
retcon.
Yeah.
Nah,
They're
gonna
gonna
just.
silent retcon it.
I don't think so.
Remember-
I think
okay.
it relates closer to what we're saying right now, in that like everything that they're trying to do right now is basically trying to save face and try to see what we can do to bring all those like and that would be something specific example. That would be killing off Grogu in the Jedi Academy, Luke's Academy in the second Purge, specifically because they've put our heartstrings to him and like bringing that together, and that makes you hate Kylo Ren more, which makes him be more sensible.
Yeah.
As
They could do that.
So it's kind of like what they did with stuff that was introduced in the prequels that they had to like elaborate on or sort of fix in a way
Right.
with Clone Wars and
right,
all that
and
stuff
so
that
it makes
came
you
after.
it makes
yeah, okay.
it makes you hate Kylo that much more, because you'll see like I what did I say the other day? I was like Drake and Josh, like Kylo Ren and Grogu are roommates in college. Here we go.
and they just don't get along.
But then
That's
he
your
ends
side
up,
of the room. That's
but
my
exactly.
side of the room.
And then he ends up, chopping his head off, and we're all like, "Oh my fucking god!" Like,
You
and
did
it gives
that
us
to
a
Grogu?
it
Yoda's-
gives us a reason to hate him more
Yeah,
in the
and-
sequels.
So Grogu's little like stubby arms are what inspired the little side blades on Kylo's lightsaber,
No.
so he could do it efficiently.
All in one.
Either that or his ears. Yeah, sure. There you go.
Oh yeah, the ears for sure.
I don't know.
Star Wars
I
all about
was
dismemberment.
So,
listening to somebody talking about how Grogu might be fully matured by that time.
Yeah, that's
And-
true.
and
yeah,
out of
that
the
he would be-
academy.
But maybe he came back.
By
Like
then.
he
But if he's a
feels that- he
50-year-old
feels a way-
baby and it's only like a 25-year difference
They
in the
were
timeline,
saying
then it would
that
be like maybe
Yeah,
he
teenager.
feels.
Yoda
Yeah,
was
Maybe he
fully
feels a
matured at
shock.
100.
He feels a shockwave in the Force, and he decides to come back to try to like save the cat. Like he comes back for Luke, and
maybe in the
like
sequels
fuck.
the whole time he was actually trying to come help out. He's got those tiny little stubby arms and legs, and he can't fly by him, and he's waiting for someone to give him a ride
R2.
to where the action's going on, but everyone else was
he's
there.
just
on
texting
the,
Mando. And
yeah.
Hold on.
That's what Maz Kanata was doing during The Last Jedi. She was trying to go pick up Grogu.
Or hear me out. Grogu goes to the Jedi Temple that Rey goes to in the Christmas special.
No.
Finds the time crystal.
There you go.
Goes back
Oh,
in
no.
time.
We repeat that whole shenanigan.
but on screen.
Yeah.
Don't,
So-
If you haven't seen the Christmas special, go watch the
Yeah,
Christmas
we're,
special.
we'll talk about it a little bit later, I'm sure. So I want to, before we move on to all the stuff that Disney has announced, like in the last month for the next 15 years or whatever of Star Wars, I want to talk briefly about, I'm not sure how well it was debated in the first season, but I feel like this season sort of exacerbated it, the sort of episodic format of The Mandalorian, how they have those sort of side quest episodes and how it would be, I don't know, at least a little bit more intriguing if there was that sort of Breaking Bad style cliffhanger format, where like, I mean, it's not that they don't have cliffhangers, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there are a few episodes that just seem like side quests, essentially. Like, excuses to have cool action sequences, which, don't get me wrong, are all excellent. Like, they're very well executed, and I really get into the action when it's happening. But after that sequence is over, I just keep thinking to myself, like, oh, now he's just going to go to another planet and do another side quest until we get to the last, like, 3 episodes. And then the plot will actually start moving forward. I get why they do it, but at the same time, it's like, can you just pick if you're going to do serialized or do episodic? You can't have both.
Yeah, I would like to see them pick back up on Solo. That was left so
that'd be
open.
cool. I think what you're saying is you want Mark Margolis to be in an episode.
Of course. I want him to be in everything. Mark Golis is a fantastic actor. And if he's like...
He's the guy who played...
If he's butting heads with Moff
Salamanca
Gideon, it'd be even better. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tuco. Or, not Tuco. The other one.
Hector.
Hector, yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, I just hope that next season there's like Grogu is sort of was like the driving arc of the story. And it's like that was sort of how they were able to sort of structure the series, because without Grogu there wouldn't really be much of a structure. It would just be, you know, Din Djarin on adventures
But it would
in
have just
space.
been the same thing every season, over and over and over.
That's
Right.
true, but I wouldn't be surprised if they entirely abandon it. But at the same time, I hope they don't.
But what I'm saying is, I just hope
maybe
that-
like we'll get like 6 or if there's 8 episodes a season, maybe we'll get 6 of just what's going to be maybe him and Bo Katan
Like, if
taking
the
over
Mandalorian
the
was a series
Mandalore.
of
That's what I'm
books,
saying.
And
Like,
then like
make
the last 2
season
episodes,
3
we'll see like a little bit of
tie that
Grogu.
together. Yeah, have like a Bill and Ted ending.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, if they do that, Battle for Mandalore, like the Rule of Mandalore and all that stuff, just focus on that. Make it like an 8-episode, super well structured, like 4-act thing, or I guess 8-act, if you will. But just like
Just pull a Game of Thrones.
make that the focus.
Yeah.
Don't go to a place to talk to a person that tells you the princess isn't in this castle. Sorry, and you just have to keep going. Like,
It's very video game.
At the
quest
same
Right.
line.
At the same time, though, like all of those episodes, like, well, let me rephrase that. At the same time, none of those episodes have really been like bad.
no,
Like,
and that's the
fighting
thing.
of the fighting of the Crate Dragon and like Timothy Oliphant and like all of
I
that.
have
that
like
was
good
really
individual
fucking awesome.
episodes that stand out and that I remember.
And
But
then
I just,
finding like doing little nods to the originals, like the Crate Dragon egg, and when they find it, they're
yeah, it just seems like there's stuff that
was
they
really
set
fucking
up.
cool.
There's stuff that they set up in season 1 that they explore in season 2, but it feels like they could have gone further with it. Like the Darksaber, for example. That's like the big tease
You don't
at the
really
end of
know
season
anything
1.
about it if you haven't watched.
There's
Rebels,
that.
Rebels.
But
Wars.
if you're
just
going to
like,
set
"Ooh,
that up,
this thing is cool. It can't cut through the
Beskar.
Beskar.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly.
if you're going to introduce that Darksaber, make that more of a focus.
Yeah, it just seems
Instead
think
of
that's
just
what they're
like
gonna do. That's what
discovering
they
that
were-
along the way.
A
Like, oh, by the
bootleg
way, I kind of have the right to
lightsaber.
that fancy, cool thing that Gus Fring has on his belt.
I think that's probably what they're gonna do. They were setting it up to like they drew everybody in, and now you want to obviously like nobody's gonna be like, well, now that Grogu's gone, I'm not gonna watch it anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be like,
Well, even just
okay,
Moff Gideon
so
as
now
a
like they
character
can move
seems
into
like
that kind of territory.
just
I'm not
Moff
upset
Gideon's
with
arc
all
seems like it
that
plateaued. You know what I
Grogu
mean?
wouldn't be a part of Mandalorian.
Now he can actually go and do adult things without having.
That's
to
what I
worry
mean.
about
Is that's
daycare.
And then you
what
don't have to
Clark
get
is
a
saying is what
babysitter.
exactly what Clark is saying is what I mean. Like if they can do the whole season and then like maybe like give us a little bit give us a little treat at the end of the season and give us some Grogu action at the academy or whatever.
Grogu actually just shows up and saves the day the way Luke did in the season 2 finale.
But like I'm not
with like a
mad at all.
little green lightsaber.
Yeah.
But I agree with Clark. I'm not mad at all. Yeah, like literally like a chopstick. He's just got like a little chopstick lightsaber.
No one's done orange. They haven't done orange in live action. We could give him an orange one.
If
But-
it was like the screen time that Luke got in this. I guess that
100% agree.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was
20
getting at.
minutes. Yeah, at the end. That's perfect. Like, you know, Mando shows up to Luke's planet and just checks in. You know, it's like, "Hey, kid, how you doing?" Ruffles
Like-
his head.
like
Or,
the end
or
of- like
they're
the
at that
one-
they're at that arc, the Act 2 dip where he's at his lowest point and he's trying to get anyone he can to
He
help
needs to be
him.
motivated
And he
again.
goes to Luke, and Luke's like, "I can't really get involved." But if you want Baby Yoda, he's got the weekend off for spring break, so
His training's going really well.
just go give him a hug, you know.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It could-
just stop by daycare, you know.
I
give him a little
think
hug.
it'll
Take
be
your
like-
take your helmet off.
I think
again.
it'll be at the same spot as Luke's. Mando will go through this whole trial and tribulation, and that all blows over, and then at the very end, it's like sort of an epilogue to the season. He goes and visits Grogu.
That's what I mean.
more
Like,
real- yeah,
I
exactly.
side with
I
Clark
doubt it'll be
100%
like
on that. That I would
Deus
not.
Ex Grogu kind of thing.
No.
Right. Well, I'm not mad at all if the whole next season has nothing to do with it, and we just I do hope there's like a little teaser.
Like we'll still have
teaser
Carl
treat
Weathers,
at the end.
so that's what really matters.
Oh,
And that's the thing with Star Wars is like the new characters that they introduce are the best part of the new Star Wars. Like Carl
Yeah.
Weathers' character, like IG,
yeah.
like Cara Dune,
yeah, but I don't
Boston
know about
Space
Gene. I don't
Imperial.
know how long Disney's
I
gonna
have
keep.
spoken.
I don't know how long Disney's gonna keep
That guy.
Gina Carano.
Oh, I mean,
Oh
well,
yeah.
we'll see.
Well,
I
they
hope she
probably
sticks
didn't
around.
know about it at the time of filming
That's what I
Yeah.
mean.
because the Disney is like that fake woke where
Yeah.
they like want to pretend that they're progressive unless people catch them not being progressive, and then they're
I
like, "Oh
mean-
no, course correct, lesbian kiss in episode 9 that you can easily edit out for China."
And that's,
Good
you know,
enough, right?
Kathleen
Good
Kennedy
enough?
and her whole troop of
okay.
social justice warriors. And
Okay.
Bryan
Well, I mean
Johnson
that's
and,
fair, but
You know,
Passive progressive. That's someone from Red Letter Media came up with that. I think it
That's-
was
yeah.
Rich Evans or
fake
something
woke,
like that.
Passive
Yeah.
aggressive. I like that.
Passive
that's
progressive.
progressive.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Speaking of Disney, let's get into the fucking smorgasbord of shit that they announced.
Right. How
Like,
many?
what was it,
did
2-3
have?
weeks ago at this point?
Xavier still thinks there's gonna be a Luke Skywalker show.
Yeah, they've teased it, or at least like behind the scenes. There's a bunch of rumors going around.
Well, let's just go ahead and start with the tag of season 2 of
Okay.
Mandalorian,
The Book of Boba.
which was not announced during the initial
Right,
announcement.
because
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
there's no reason there's not
it would have
other
been
unannounced.
It
Right.
would have been
projects.
like if you hadn't seen any
we'll
of
get
it.
into that.
If you hadn't seen any of this season, or like if you were behind or whatever, like they waited till literally the last second to announce it.
Right.
So
Oh, and-
if you
and you
weren't
know that
caught
they
up,
already
like,
had that-
because Boba was a big reveal.
They knew those dates would line up.
Right.
The Disney conference and the air date. It's kind of like how, what was it, like episode 7 of the first season dropped like the day before Rise of Skywalker?
Oh yeah,
Something like that.
it's a good
They-
hype train.
Yeah, they have those dates lined up. And I'm sure they have a shitload lined up for all these titles they've announced. Of course, they've only announced like a few of them, like the dates. I mean, like, because only a few of them are actually in like pre-production at this point. Like, I think Kenobi is currently filming as of the recording of this, January 2nd, or they're done filming.
Ewan McGregor has at least done his costume testing.
Right,
Oh,
and I
I
feel like
thought
that
there's been a
announcement
lot
of
of
Hayden
work done
Christensen
on that.
was timely enough that it would have to be that they were
there-
already preparing to
Yep.
shoot them
there-
and all that.
Are there photos of that?
Of Obi-Wan back in gear.
I think there's a
No, I don't
picture
think so.
of Ewan McGregor like walking out of the back door of the building when he was done, but
Yeah.
I don't think there's any. Like,
If you check out
pics
Ewan's
in
Twitter,
costume.
he's got some
Yeah,
cool stuff.
I guess that's
So the Boba
Disney.
Fett one is kind of interesting. The Book of Boba, because before Solo was a giant bomb for Disney, there
still don't
was a
understand
plan.
why, but-
There was a plan to have James Mangold, who directed Logan and a bunch of other movies, to do a Boba Fett movie, and that was going to come out
Oh, yeah.
in
I
like
remember that.
20. I don't know when it was supposed to come out, but
That was back
was
when
gonna
Rogue
happen.
One and
so that was probably before Mandalorian. Like, I think they knew Mandalorian would get well received, but I don't think they expected it to be like.
Or I'm sure it came out as a brainchild of that,
Yeah.
that conversation. How do we reintroduce Boba? Well,
They
You
might have
know,
talked about that in the Disney Gallery thing when they were.
That's
like,
what I was kind of saying
talking about the
earlier. Is
origin
like
of
they're
it.
just gonna try to tie any of these loose ends together to try to save face
to make the
for
sequels
whatever-
make sense.
Yeah, to make
especially
anything of it
Rise.
make sense. But
I-
also like bringing Boba back in general at all, even though it's gonna be like a mini series, and it'll probably just be that one off, and they'll probably end up killing him for real.
Or
at the
maybe
end
it'll
of
be
it.
like Sherlock, where they do like one mini series season every couple years. So it's like book 1, book 2, book 3.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that we know that Darth Maul is going to go to Tatooine to go fight Obi-Wan. We know Boba is currently on Tatooine. We know Luke's on Tatooine.
Well, he's
so-
not currently. Boba's not currently on Tatooine. He's somewhere in space. Well,
Uh,
no, okay, yeah,
Boba
you're
is-
right. You're
yeah,
right from the
he's
tag.
in
My
the
bad.
cantina.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in
Yeah,
Jabba's
Right.
Jabba's hut, Jabba's palace. So he's on Tatooine. So there's all these chess pieces that are on the board, and they're getting something ready.
They're doing the Marvel setup thing.
Yeah, they're doing the setup thing, right?
The,
where-
And that's what they
Avengers
that's what you do is you
Initiative
tease
stuff.
characters in one show, and then you get another character that's teased in another show.
Just
and-
why do the shows have to connect besides the word Star Wars? Why can't they just be their own shows, and do like maybe like a Star Trek thing where like every season and a half you get Worf for an episode,
Right.
you know? But you don't need to do the whole backdoor pilot thing where it's like
You try to amp up
Yeah.
each show and get viewers into each show by teasing. That's
we did a
what we were
great
just talking
Ahsoka
about.
episode. Now there's an Ahsoka series if you like that.
Yep.
But I'm personally really looking forward to Kenobi.
Kenobi's going to be great.
Yeah.
Ewan is going to be great. It's
Ewan
gonna be great to see him.
McGregor is one of the best parts of the prequels because he is taking material that he is way better than and making it work way better than it should.
Absolutely.
At least from his perspective. He is. I'm not going to say he carries those movies on his back.
I
'cause
would say
it's
the same
clearly
thing
the
with Christopher Lee,
animators.
too, as Count Dooku.
Yeah,
He brought Count Dooku to life with his, persona.
he put as much heart into Count Dooku as he did into Saruman in the Hobbit movies. That says something.
That was
He-
some fierce. Saruman,
He's a
for
true
sure.
professional. Rest his soul.
Yeah.
But
So Kenobi's coming out. The Bad Batch is coming out, which we
which
talked
is those 5 clone troopers from the Clone Wars
the
3D
last season
series.
of Clone Wars. Yep. And so again, with the rehashing kind of old characters that are introduced and not really introducing new I guess they are technically new characters, but
They're new to like the masses, I think.
new to the masses, new since the Disney acquisition as well, I would
Yeah.
say. But that's going to be an interesting show because that's going to show the transition from the Republic troopers to the Empire, and that transition from clone troopers to
Right.
normal troopers.
Yeah,
right?
and
this is
just
the last
enlisted
bit.
people as opposed to clones. Yeah,
So how is this Bad Batch going to handle that transition and all? There's a lot of cool stuff that can be handled there, especially since they're going to be going from playing the good guys right to now,
right. Like a lot of the
bad
admirals
guys.
and stuff were like higher ups in the clone army, and now they're
And what happens after the purge, after Order 66? Like, all the chips in the clones have gone off, but the Bad Batch, I'm assuming, don't have those chips. But I'm sure they don't care either because they're so.
Wait, are they all clones?
They're all clones, but they're
So they
the Bad
all-
Batch of clones.
But they're all
they're all from Django's DNA.
right.
Yes.
Yeah,
but
they all have
they're-
Tamora Morrison's voice,
But
which will be weird. Are they
no,
just gonna
actually,
get?
these guys have different voices. I think,
But
They're
their faces are still.
somewhat the same. Right. They're like altered DNA of.
So are they gonna?
Django. So
are they
they're
gonna
not-
deep fake Tamora Morrison's face onto like a bunch of different actors, like Social Network style, with the Army Hammer twins?
No, you should check out the Bad Batch if you haven't yet. They're really good. They're cool characters. I think everybody's gonna like those guys.
But I think the Obi-Wan one is a better. That's going to be definitely bigger for sure
But
because
what
of how
in-
big of a character Obi-Wan is.
What in
But
the entire world?
Everyone wants to watch an Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Not that many people want to watch a Cassian Andor series.
From
I
a guy we
mean-
know we know how
Guy we
Obi-Wan
barely
ends,
know,
too,
who has barely
but
any character.
I like that actor.
Diego Luna's great. It's
He's
just
phenomenal.
he has fuck all to do in that movie.
I mean, it's going to be the spy part of Star Wars, I think. 'Cause
Yeah.
we don't get a lot of the spy craft. We get a lot of the rebels and the rebellion fighting and like
But he
the
like
squadron
a
side
James
of that.
Bond character.
But like undercover, like double agent, underworld.
You know,
of Star
it's-
he
Wars.
never really
It's-
comes
it's not
across
much
like that in
different.
Rogue One though.
Then just coming up with a random character and a random story.
Yeah, and he's
You
supposed to, I
know?
mean, from his telling even in the
I just
the
think Rogue
announcement-
One is an odd place to spin off from. If that
Totally.
makes sense.
I think it's going to be before that. Though.
It is.
That's
It's
what
the
I'm saying,
building
like-
of the rebellion is what he said.
Rogue One is a spin-off of the original Star Wars. Now we're just keep going further back in time until
And
it's
that's-
like Baby Thrawn or something.
And that's
I don't
my
know.
critique, is that like they just can't find new territory to venture off into.
The problem
Star
with-
Wars is a huge galaxy with a huge timeline.
But prequels aren't even like exclusive
That's
to Star
true.
Wars as a problem. Like
No.
Game of Thrones is coming out with a prequel series. Lord of the Rings is coming out with a prequel series. Now, thankfully, they're like trying to separate it from the original. But like The Hobbit is a better example because they tried to directly tie The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings together through several characters.
Even though there was none of that in the original.
Right.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with prequels is chances are characters you're seeing on screen, you know how they die. So if they're in peril in a prequel, you feel nothing because you don't
Plot armor.
you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know how they're going to you know the exact way they're going to die.
You know the time and date of their death. And,
Right.
There's nothing exciting about
So
that.
so why do I want to watch a miniseries about Cassian Andor if I know he's just going to get swallowed up by a planet explosion Melancholia style?
But we gotta
Well-
watch Mon
And the,
Mothma.
and the
I don't know. I mean, we all knew
I'd prefer Mon Mothma.
Anakin was Darth Vader, and
That's
Exactly. That's
we
Yeah.
enjoyed that.
part of the
build-up.
problem.
I enjoyed the
Obi-Wan versus Anakin. You know that Obi-Wan's obviously not going to die on Mustafar.
Yep.
So I
Exactly.
understand why, because they get characters that people like that they didn't expect, so they think, oh, let's find out where they came from because money.
Mm-hmm.
But
But
from
that's
a
the good thing
storytelling
about Ahsoka.
perspective, it's
Ahsoka's because she's the brainchild of Dave Filoni,
Right.
and because her future is unspoken. Well, she died, and then she got brought back again through
and because
the Force time
and
fuckery,
because she was Anakin's
and because
Padawan.
she's at Anakin's Padawan.
she had a save point.
She
And
did
she
have a save
respawned.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
she respawned. Yeah,
Literally
Ezra brought her
yeah.
back because she was actually going to die in a battle with Darth Vader on some Sith planet where Darth Maul, Vader, Ezra, the whole gang in Rebels is there, and
So it's like Avengers Endgame.
yeah, it's exactly right. They go back in time, they pluck somebody out of their pinnacle moment, and then they bring them back into the present.
So it's kind of like the Lego Star Wars holiday special.
Yeah, you know what? That's exactly right. That's what I'm saying. It's still
Bunch of
canon
hacks.
because we know there are Jedi temples that have a connection to like the timeline in the Force.
Either way, I need to.
I don't wanna
need
see it again, but-
yeah, I'd like to get to know Ahsoka better as a character because I think there are parts of the timeline that we could explore through her. Which is also why the title Rangers of the New Republic intrigues me because the New Republic, we have barely seen it represented at all. Like they set that up in Force Awakens as like, okay, after the fall of the Empire, they started a new republic and that they're already
And it's not doing great because we can't garner enough support.
Exactly,
And we got
like-
this new threat out there.
like this is all great. Show it.
don't tell me.
Don't just tell me that it happened. Show me why I should give a shit when those 5 planets that are right next to each other get exploded at the same time. Like, why do I care that the New Republic fell? I don't know anything about them other than the fact that Leia was somewhat involved politically.
And you know that Cara Dune is now a ranger of the New Republic after those 2 fighter cops showed up
Right.
and just dropped a badge on her desk and was like, "Hey, good job." So
She's like, hey, you mind if I flagrantly break the rules in the next episode?
right? Disney may quit Cara Dune or her actress, rather, but
Wait, is she the one that people
she's
were
the
freaking out
MMA
about?
fighter that she's a Trumper, like
The Cara Dune? Like the...
the actress.
Really? I
Yeah.
thought it was one of the side, like the blue Mandalorians, like the one that didn't have any lines. I
Oh,
thought
no.
she was the one people were freaking.
No.
No, like straight up.
She's also
No,
a
yeah.
fighter.
She
Yeah.
is also an MMA
I
fighter.
thought that's where that
MMA.
came from. Was that? Oh,
But
so I
no.
got.
You got
Damn,
mixed up.
that's upsetting.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because I really liked her.
Gina Carano,
I liked her
yeah.
character and
Oh,
what they
she's
were
great.
trying to.
I think
I
she
think
was
that people
also-
should separate.
But she's still. I mean,
person
I don't.
from-
I don't think they'll. I don't think they'll fire.
I mean, they-
I don't
they-
think so
might.
either.
They 180'd on James Gunn, so what the fuck?
I mean, she wasn't that big of a character.
Yeah, but she's got a Lego, and it's hard. It's hard to readjust once you're in
Once
Lego
you have a
form. It's
Lego.
hard to retcon your existence.
Well, she doesn't. need to be cast in anything else.
She doesn't need to
that's
be
all.
in
I mean,
that show, though,
is she
necessarily.
going
I mean,
around on
she's
set yelling "Make America Great Again," or is she
I
showing
don't
up
know
and just
about
doing the
that.
fucking job?
She's just doing her Twitter thing, you know, and like it's a
Yeah.
separate. She's showing up for work, and then personally, she's
If she's not calling black people like monkeys, like Roseanne or whoever,
oh yeah.
Oof.
was
Yeah,
it
oof.
was it Roseanne?
I don't know. Probably though.
Because
That
then
sounds
now they're
about
doing
right.
the Connors, where they just killed off her character.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they had to kill her off because she was
Because you're
spouting
doing
some-
something in public that.
Or
is
just deep fake
absurd.
Gina Carano in future episodes.
Oof.
Your image and likeness are ours for
Get
all
someone.
eternity.
That is what Disney does.
They
That's why they do
absolutely
shit
do.
like Tarkin in Rogue One. Because
Yep.
as soon as they have your face on file, they will use it for eternity
I mean,
and get a look alike, a sound
I
alike.
loved
voice actor.
Rogue One.
Yeah, and
I
honest-
thought that was a great use of it.
We have a very big.
well, so
divide,
was Carrie
me and them,
Fisher's.
on that.
Yeah. Same.
I think Carrie Fisher's and Mark Hamill's deepfakes were awesome.
They were
And
amazing.
I don't really care if they look a little bit weird. They were fucking great uses, and it shocked everybody in both instances, and they were both great.
Yeah, but Darth Vader's cape was blowing in space, so what the fuck was up with that?
Oh,
Well, I mean, spaceships can't fly around in space like they do either. So
No, it's all about hyperspeed. It's fine.
there's also not fire. You also can't drop bombs out of a fucking spaceship.
Or
No,
run
there's totally
horses
gravity.
on the outside of
You
Star
also can't
Destroyers.
ride fucking horses on a
Space
goddamn spaceship.
horses.
We're just gonna pretend that didn't happen.
No.
So what's up with this Visions show?
Yeah, I
Was
have
that one of those like
nothing-
animated ones they
It's
announced?
one of I believe they said that it was snippets from like.
It's like, is it like the Star Wars version of that Marvel What If thing that they're gonna do?
Maybe.
I honestly didn't read that much. I it was like the ones that are named after people were the ones that I was reading more up about. We haven't talked about Rogue Squadron yet.
Visions is the anime, so it's a collection of animes
Oh,
from different
okay.
anime studios.
Kind of
Oh,
like the,
that's
They're gonna
right.
start like episodic, like
like the
stories.
Animatrix.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the Animatrix.
Yeah. Okay,
Exactly.
that's right.
like different
I remember that
animated
now.
shorts.
Right. So they're bringing some
That'll be
cultural,
cool.
like influence into it. I think it'll be really cool.
Well, the Japanese like samurai culture heavily inspired the first one, so that I can see why they would go that route.
I hope it's going to be really good.
But it'll also be interesting to see how these characters are represented not from an American perspective.
That will be interesting.
Yeah.
Rogue Squadron. Yeah.
What is Rogue Squadron?
Is this going to be a movie or a series of
It's going to be a television series for Disney Plus.
a mini series?
I thought that was
or...
I thought Patty Jenkins was.
Patty Jenkins.
That
I
was the
heard
movie, wasn't it?
it was gonna be
Rogue
like-
Squadron's like the one movie.
Oh,
they
maybe
announced.
it is going to be a movie.
Well, like a couple of them are movies. Most of them are series, but I think that's the one of the few.
This
movies
is
they
actually, you
announced.
know what? I think you're right.
Because there's also a movie that Taika Waititi is going to write and direct, but we don't know anything about that, not even the name.
Oh yeah, that's
We just know
not
he's
announced.
right
involved.
that he's
It's
going
one
to
of
be
them.
doing a movie.
Right. Which I'm fine with because
I thought he had a whole trilogy.
But he's got his hands in fucking
yeah,
everything right
that's-
now.
But now that
That's-
they're doing the High Republic, it may be a movie set in the High Republic.
I think you're thinking of Ryan Johnson Clark,
Oh right, from
which we'll talk about
DOT.
that because
But,
that's in our
that's no longer.
canceled projects.
So
or
apparently,
unknown
Chris
projects.
Pine is teased some Star Wars stuff with Rogue Squadron.
Oh.
So that'd be an interesting Star Trek Star Wars crossover.
I'd be
I
all
think
right
we've
with
had
that.
too much.
Right? And
Star
also,
Wars
he's
Star
related to
Trek.
Patty Jenkins in the sense that he's been in both of the Wonder Woman.
Right. So that's probably why he's involved because
The casting.
She probably
you know,
called
Small
him, yeah.
World. Yeah.
she sent him a text.
Hey, do you want to be in a Star Wars film?
What? How much does it pay? Sorry, I just woke up from a nap.
Yep. So that one's coming out in 2023, apparently, so far.
Great.
So
Can't-
that'll take a little while.
Now, do we think that'll come out in theaters or drop it on Disney Plus?
Well, who knows at this point, right? But
But let's
looks like a movie.
let's make a prediction now. We can be proved wrong. I say yes.
I say Disney Plus
I
movie.
say it'll be.
I say Lady
it'll
and the
be in
Tramp,
theaters.
dump it on their style.
So do you think we'll get Mandalorian season 3 before we get Book of Boba Fett in December?
No. They,
Yes.
Depending
Mandalorian
on the
season 3 has been pushed back.
Right,
from what
because of
I
COVID.
understand.
Right.
And so Book of Boba is already in production with Robert Rodriguez and Dave Filoni.
Okay.
So hopefully Robert Rodriguez gets to do some Dusk Till
Desperado
Dawn.
style,
Yeah, Dust Till Dawn, Desperado, like
El Mariachi kind of stuff.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
the stuff he's good for.
The stuff he hasn't done in almost 30 years? Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully we can get a Tarantino episode where he's like, hey,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
you know, we got Boba
That-
now.
that
He's
would
in
be
he's in
dope.
Jabba's
I-
palace.
Even if it's just like
You
one
want-
scene,
that.
like
You
Sin
want-
City. Yeah.
Right? Or he makes a cameo, he's just hanging out, you know?
As long as he does his awful Australian accent from Django Unchained. Otherwise, it's not worth it.
Exactly.
So I think the only other thing I have on here is The Acolyte and A Droid Story. The Acolyte, I think, is another animated thing. It's like an animated anthology. That might be the one.
I think that's the dark side of the Force is what they were talking about. They were
Is
teasing it, yeah, as a dark acolyte.
Yeah.
Like, it could be Ventress. I don't know if she's still kicking around. I don't know what her final story was. I can't remember if she died.
She died in the 2D Clone Wars series.
No, but she survives.
But that
in the
is
3D
apparently
Clone
not
Wars.
canon.
No, it's
Those
not.
it doesn't count anymore, even though it's
No.
got some of the best storytelling in the whole franchise.
No,
but,
3D's Clone Wars definitely takes the cake. But Ventress does live. She's
I say that,
Dooku's
having
apprentice.
Right.
And Dooku keeps 2 secret apprentices throughout his, time. As we all know, Palpatine had many, so
he had a lot of. It's like
hypocritical
yeah,
element there.
he has
But-
a lot of placeholders, just in case something.
Just
happens.
in case something happens, right?
And a droid story sounds like those droid cartoons from the 80s, like right after Return of the Jedi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or a Toy Story, but a droid story.
Or like maybe like the Ewok, those like TV movies, the Ewok Adventures. That's what that seems like. But it's probably going to be like a new robot that's in the vein of like BB-8 or R2 or something like that. And they're trying to make an entire thing off of that first 20 minutes of Star Wars, also known as A New Hope, where it's 3PO and R2 in the desert. I think they want to tell an entire story through that perspective. Also, it's worth noting for those that are listening at home right now, Brandon has fallen asleep on the
Nope.
couch.
It'll
Well,
lull you to sleep.
it sure
with that.
seemed like it.
Sorry.
Are we boring you with our speculation of the wars and the stars?
These are the Star Wars. Those near and far wars.
I wish they would have spread out these announcements, though. I wish they'd only
Yeah.
announce like 3 or 4 at a time.
Now it's
instead
like
of
we've got all these
So
years to wait
the-
before
It
all
is
these
a little
projects.
overwhelming.
Yeah,
But I
it's
mean,
like too many cooks in the kitchen.
The Book of
kind
Boba
thing.
Fett, is that going to be
it said
a
December.
series?
Mini series.
It's gonna be a mini
eight
series. Like a
limited
episodes or 6
series.
episodes. It's
Yeah.
a limited run.
Okay.
So we
So
may see
not
the end of
as
Boba.
long
That's what I'm
as-
saying. Like with Darth Maul showing up and Kenobi, like Darth Maul could show up as part of the underbelly of the underworld.
Well, if Boba
From
didn't
Han
die
Solo.
from the Sarlacc pit, at this point, retirement is his most likely outcome.
Yeah, is
know what I
it
mean?
is it
I think he's
going
trying
to
to build
be
his
from
empire, you know,
this
like-
point on, or
Maybe
are
he'll
we
be
gonna
like a
see,
benevolent.
You know,
I think it's going to be from the
some
point that he steps in, from when he leaves the
flashback action.
when he
maybe?
drops, the whole gang off to go fight the Dark Troopers, and he jets.
What? That's going to be the beginning.
That was
of
the next
first-
scene. Was he just
the
went to
first
Tatooine and
episode
was
of-
just like, later, guys.
Yeah.
So the
But
future-
that's-
I mean, that seems like a pretty good closing point for his like story there too.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. And back at Tatooine,
So it
be
wouldn't
back on the
be-
top. Jabba's dead. Everybody's dead.
You know what we didn't talk about?
It also makes-
Lando. We didn't talk about the Lando series they're
Oh,
Is
planning.
Donald
That's
Glover
right.
going to be?
That's the
part
big
of it?
question. Is it going to be Billy D. Williams and like another new Lando?
Billy
Is
D
Donald
needs
Glover
to-
going to be
yeah.
involved? Are they going to deep fake? Are they going to do like Irishman style de-aging on Billy D. Williams? I don't know.
I hope not.
We literally don't know shit about Lando other than the fact that it's called Lando.
Donald Glover
Anybody
better
about
be
that
executive
character.
producing, and he better act in it.
Yeah, I would hope that it
And
would be.
it better
Donald
be
Glover, just
within
to
the same
keep
timeline as,
continuity
like-
up.
As long as he can
Yeah.
play Miles Morales in Lando,
Oh man,
then it'll work out.
I know it'll be cool. I hope it's part of the same time when like him and Han Solo were running around the galaxy. Being
Doing the
hoodlums
castle
and-
run.
You're saying around like the Solo movie era? Oh, we're getting some feedback.
Oh no!
Oh fuck! Sorry,
Damn it!
Like I
Brandon.
said, we're not
my
professionals.
ears.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Corsair headphones. Very comfortable. Never tire out your ears.
Ever. Dunder Mifflin.
This episode is also brought to you by Man Wipes. Wipe your filthy, stinking ass, you disgusting fat nerd.
You filthy animal.
If you use the promo code
Oh.
HarryButthole20, you can get
Oh, my ears.
10% off your first purchase. So that's what Disney is going to put out. But can we real quick talk about the stuff that they announced after they bought Lucasfilm, but have since decided to not do because of the way that their movies have turned out? Like we were talking about it a bit earlier.
Canceled projects?
The James Mangold Boba Fett movie, which we've all theorized evolved into.
Well, that got
Mandalorian.
canceled because the Solo movie did so
It
poorly,
bombed,
right?
yeah. Well, that's also there's a lot of factors why Solo bombed. One of which was the fact that it came out the weekend after Avengers: Infinity War and Deadpool 2 and all these giant
Yeah.
other movies that they own.
Yep.
And Solo just had to come out on that day because
I mean,
They had to have
They
the
could have put it
holiday
out
rush.
the same weekend, and it would have worked better.
not even because
No.
you're gonna pick one or the other. And Avengers is this like giant movie, and Solo is this like standalone one-off
Maybe not
thing.
though. I mean, like, I feel like if you put it out the same weekend, it would have.
It's the holidays.
I
They're trying
think
to
it still would have
maximize on
bombed.
both.
I don't think Solo is enough of a conceptual character to carry a movie of the type. Not that Solo was bad. I'm just saying from a box office, like marketing perspective, it wasn't the strongest pitch.
Definitely
like
not
Rogue-
against Avengers: Infinity War, right? Like,
Despite my opinion on Rogue One, it's still a more intriguing idea than Solo as a movie,
agreed.
in my opinion.
yeah.
Even though I would
Yeah.
prefer to rewatch Solo any day
I
of the
mean,
week.
it literally opens up A New Hope.
Yeah.
So the other
Which I'm
canceled
not a fan
series
of.
was David Benioff and D.B. Weiss
but
stepping
they
away
quit.
from Game of Thrones, right? So they reportedly walked away from their deal,
Because
which
they have that $250 million development deal at Netflix.
from Netflix. Yeah, exactly. That was the reason that they stated they walked away from it. However, behind the scenes, Game of Thrones final season aired.
I think Kathleen
Oh.
Kennedy is very she's very trigger happy when it comes to firing people that the fans don't like.
Exactly.
She has a or people that don't do what she likes with in the case of the original directors of Solo, the Jump Street Lego movie,
Or even
guys.
the guy that Ryan Johnson replaced. I mean,
Colin
origi-
Trevorrow.
Yeah.
What,
Trevorrow. If we had a
JJ?
Trevorrow, apparently that script was supposed to be really good.
I doubt that.
Well,
Well,
is
better
there
than what
just
we got.
It's better than
We'll say
anything
that.
that Chris what's his name? Chris Terrio, the guy from Batman v Superman.
Oh, yeah.
When you're getting that guy to come in and write your finale to your giant, yeah, it's not going to turn out well.
Yeah,
We
so
can sit here and bitch about episode 9 all
D&D,
day.
they went bye-bye. We'll say.
So what I found is there was going to be a droids movie, which is probably what a droid story has been repurposed
Retooled.
into. Yeah, or just taking the concepts and ideas from that and just recycling it. There was also going to be a Wookiee movie, so probably something on Kashyyyk or
And just like the first 10 minutes of I was gonna say it's like just the first 10 minutes of the 78 holiday special, and they're
Yeah.
just all there's no dialogue at all, and it's all just
and Art Carney. They reanimate Art Carney's corpse with CGI, and he comes in and he tries to sell him Wookiee shampoo.
and then Luke's talking to them like Lassie, like
Right.
what
No.
was that, boy?
That's probably the worst idea on this canceled project list, because I don't know anyone that like Wookiees aren't even, I would say, one of the what people consider to be cool in Star Wars. Like Wookiees, they're fine.
Wookiees are badass. They'll tear your limb from limb.
Yeah, but at
yeah.
the same time, like we don't really get to see that because Star Wars is PG-13 at the max.
Yeah.
Which is,
However,
again-
you
That's
do
why,
get to see
again,
you
Star
do-
Wars video games,
but
you get
you-
to really enjoy some of that
Well,
stuff.
you also get to see a lot of the Wookiee stuff in Clone Wars show.
You do. And the Wookiees get down. They know how to get down.
Once again, I'm reiterating for those listening, I personally have not seen most of the Clone Wars series, so I'm alluding to things that have probably already existed. But I'm still trying to catch up. There's just a shitload of them.
It happens.
And plus, it is a cartoon for kids, so it's kind of hard for me at 25 to start going in, like...
You say that, but they snap
I'm just
people's
coming from, like,
necks.
a lore perspective. I'm not really there for the goofy antics of Clone
So the
Troopers.
show does. I will say this: if you're getting into Clone Wars, the first 2 seasons are originally geared towards kids, and then after the fact,
Yeah.
they realized what audience they were actually pulling from, and then they started re-gearing Clone
Okay.
Wars to a more adult, mature audience.
Interesting.
And
So
so,
it's
it's kind
kinda
of
like-
becomes more adult. The plot lines become more adult.
This is going to be a weird comparison, but it's kind of like My Little Pony Friendship is Magic in the way that the first few seasons were just like a straight up, I'm a robot. I am Darth Vader.
Yep.
Sorry, feedback once again. Well, like they retooled it because they realized a big portion of their audience were not actual children,
They were
but
bronies.
grown-up children.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can go to the brony
legal
convention if you want to.
adult children.
So yeah, Clone Wars is definitely worth it. Rebels suffers from the same issue initially, where again they gear it towards children the first
Right.
season, and then again they realized, oh well, our audience is actually more adult.
Is Rebels the animated
The animated
series about?
Ezra Bridger is the main character. He's a child who is born on Purge Day. He's born.
This is
Oh,
taking
wow.
place.
Yeah.
Like in like the second act of Revenge of the Sith is when it's. I guess
He's
when he was
born
born.
at that point. Right.
I mean, it takes place.
when he's 13, 14.
It takes
growing
place
up on
between 3 and 4. basically.
No. Between Revenge. Yes.
Revenge and
During the peak of the Empire, we'll
Star
start.
Wars.
Right. That's
Right.
correct. When
What's-
the Empire is building.
Oh, what am I thinking of?
And
here?
so you get Kanan, who's actually a Jedi who survived the Purge, who was a knight but had not become a Jedi
nice.
Master. So he was not able to actually take a Padawan yet because he'd not
right.
been granted the rank of Master.
Yeah,
But his
I'll
master
dive it
died
out.
to save him during the Purge. And so I think Kanan and Cal Kestis are the same age.
Okay.
Cal's
Cal's probably older.
Cal is actually a little younger. He's like maybe 2-3 years younger than Kanan.
There was also one more thing I had on this list, which is a Mos Eisley movie. A movie that's about that seedy underculture, like bar drug
Oh, you mean
smuggler.
like those first couple scenes that were cut out of the original Star Wars, where
Right.
Luke
What
ran into his friends?
when Luke goes to visit Wedge or
That was
Yeah,
whoever.
Wedge
Wedge,
Antilles. Yeah, right.
I know.
Was it? No, it wasn't Wedge, was
That
it?
would
It
be-
was the other guy.
No, his other
He's probably been
pilot
there.
friend
Probably.
from the original.
Yeah.
ones. Yeah. Couple cuts there.
I don't remember his name because they cut out everything with his character up until the point where he shows up. Like we're supposed to know who he is when we don't,
Absolutely.
but it's fine because we have that little emotional crux when he dies in the trench run, and it gives us more of a reason to root for Luke to succeed. Speaking of, actually, I don't have a good segue for this. I'm just going to move on to my next point that I have written down. It's loosely related. So cancel projects we were just talking about. But one that we don't know the status of is the supposed Rian Johnson trilogy.
No.
It's in the air. They haven't
No.
officially canceled it yet.
haven't-
But
they
they,
haven't-
also
yeah.
haven't acknowledged it at all.
No.
Right.
No,
Brandon's
you
just
don't want it.
Brandon's
or-
just knowing it out of existence. He's
You're gonna
reiterating that.
will it out of
Do
existence.
not let him do that.
Of course not.
I thought is Taika Waititi not getting a
He is.
trilogy?
No, he's getting a
Well,
movie.
A movie.
He's
Maybe-
getting a
maybe it's
movie.
like
okay,
a-
I thought
Maybe it's like a test.
I thought
like you
he
get
was
one movie,
taking
and if it's
Rian
good
Johnson's
enough, we'll give you
place
2 more.
with that project.
I don't know. Here's my thing with Rian Johnson. I think he is capable of a lot better than he is, than he puts out.
I said that
The
too.
problem is he needs a co-writer. He absolutely needs a co-writer. Because I saw Knives Out, and it's written and directed by Rian Johnson. And so many of the problems with how that I had with that script, I know people love it, but personally I did not. I think a big part of it is the writing. Like, he thinks that he's a lot more clever than he actually is. And if he had another writer that could actually come in and
That's
find
fair.
that nuance and like
But I've said this to Clark too.
work out the issues.
I've said this to Clark. I feel like if either JJ had all 3, or Rian Johnson had Rise of Skywalker, it could
Or-
have ended better.
Yeah, or Kathleen Kennedy has a 1, 2, 3 story outline from day one. Or whoever at Lucasfilm. You say, yes, we're giving you creative control, but these are the basic story points you need to hit for this whole trilogy to make sense. But yeah, even well, because that was the thing. Speaking about Rian Johnson, that was supposed to happen. He was originally supposed to write and direct 8, and then just write the story for 9. That was their original announcement back in like 2013 or whatever, when Force Awakens was still in production. That was going to be, and then I'm assuming that all fell through because of all the backlash to The Last Jedi, so he probably didn't want to be involved anymore.
There's also the silent coup that's going on within Lucasfilm between the Kathleen Kennedy Guard and the Favreau Filoni camp,
Yeah.
where they're really not working together. They're working almost at ends from each other.
Kennedy is working for the shareholders. Filoni and Favreau are working for
the
themselves
fans.
and the fans.
And
yes.
they are fans, like, at
Yeah,
the
exactly.
end of the day. Like, Filoni is the ultimate fan.
But let's not pretend that Jon Favreau doesn't get a big
Oh, yeah, he
lightsaber
knows-
in his pants every time he gets to try out a new piece of tech.
Absolutely.
On set.
He
Yeah.
loves it. And that's why, like,
Hey.
Favreau is like, the technological aspect
got a cat chewing on the cords.
George, right? So, like, Favreau is the one who wants to bring in the new technology, just like George did. You know, blue screen technology, all that fun stuff.
But John is more
volume,
hyper focused on it than Dave. Dave Filoni's main thing is like
the story.
lore.
Yeah.
He is a lord fucking encyclopedia.
And that's why I think them together make a single George Lucas. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
fair. Yeah.
Filoni is the lore and the characters and, like...
You mean one single?
It's like the
competent
It's like the
George.
left and right brain,
Better,
right?
George.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
Dave Filoni is like the left or whichever
the
side
creative
is the.
side, yeah. And Favreau is like...
No, I think it's the. I think Dave Filoni is like the very logistical,
technical, yeah.
like these are the rigid guidelines
Here's
and
the
all this
story
stuff.
and
And then
plot
Jon
and
Favreau
timeline.
is like about the wonder and the magic. Well, not that Dave
You're
Filoni
right.
isn't, but if we have to put him into a black or white box like that.
That makes sense.
But I agree. I think they're two.
But that's why
sides of the
working
same-
as a team
Yeah.
makes sense. Like you're saying with Ryan Johnston, that would make a lot of sense.
But I
have
hope that they
somebody
still
is like-
focus on that teamwork element
You know, I
going
hope that
forward.
they would
I hope they're not just
realize-
like executives on.
the
11 Star Wars
success
things.
of The Mandalorian and all of the different directors that have come through it
Right.
and put that towards the game world because
Yes.
it's
Which we'll get into
atrocious
further.
how EA has had this death grip on Star Wars games for so long.
Well, I think that's actually one of my next points. So let's just go ahead and let's just move into
Roll
video
on
games.
into that,
Yeah, because
okay.
that's still a big. That has never. I think that's probably where they've had their most continued success throughout all the ups and downs of the prequels and the sequels and all that shit. Star Wars, like EA, specifically from a monetary standpoint, they have not ever hit a loss, no matter how good or bad the game is. People still eat this shit up, like. And it's not to say that they shouldn't, because there are some legitimately good games. Like, even if you have to deal with EA's bullshit,
Fallen
Yeah,
Order was
but-
an enjoyable game.
Fallen Order is great.
Battlefront 2 storyline was an enjoyable game.
Yeah,
But, you know, 10,
It serves
15 years ago, there used to be different Star Wars games from different publishers coming out all the
That's
time.
Every
true,
other
yeah.
year there was a new Star
Yeah.
Wars game for a while.
but they all had that LucasArts
yes.
brand on it.
You know, Jedi
Man,
Academy.
Yeah.
No. Jedi Power Battles was the best fucking Star Wars game that's ever been.
But what about the Pod Race arcade game?
Yeah, that's true. Or the pod like any of the pod race.
yeah, the
like
NES,
the N64 and the
No, yeah, N64.
N64 and the Dreamcast versions. Like
Yeah.
those were so much fun.
The Jedi Outcast
Yep.
games, those were great.
Wasn't there just a straight
Bounty
Clone Wars
Hunter.
game around the time Attack of the Clones came out?
Force
There
Like
was
Leash
a
1 and
PS2.
2
There was
were
a PS2.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
Wars
those
game.
were amazing
Oh,
games.
oh,
the
oh,
original
oh.
Battlefronts.
Honorable mention of the fucking Bounty Hunter game.
Yes.
Yeah,
Where you
Yes.
get to use the thermal goggles and
Which is
everything.
Oh, yeah,
probably
dude,
where
that
a
was-
lot of inspiration for
You got to
stuff that's
use
in The Mandalorian
jetpack,
came
dude.
from.
Yeah.
Because there is that.
Jetpack and the
blasters
flamethrower.
and the cable
The
rope
flamethrower.
and everything. Yeah.
Well, the flamethrower is in Attack of the Clones.
Right.
Well, right, but like
But it's
that was
barely
like you
used.
just like
Yeah.
you got to use it. It was like something that you were like
Right.
It was like a fucking like you could change it out and like
Bounty Hunter
it
is
was
a great
so
game.
cool. That was such a good.
And one of the cool things from speaking of the end, going back to where we started from, is the end of season 2 of Mandalorian. They brought in the Dark Troopers from Dark Empire, which is a game from forever ago.
Yeah.
Came out on PC, where the Dark Troopers actually originally were like a bio hybrid, like a bio machine hybrid, where they used like force sensitive people to turn them into like these dark troopers, which
Right.
we split
And-
and made inquisitors out of that
That scientist mentions it that the human was the last
piece of the puzzle,
weak
right?
link.
Yeah, the weak link, and so they eliminated the human, and then now we got these new dark troopers. So it's cool.
Why
They
am
kinda,
I not
Give a hat
surprised?
tip to the old
Yeah.
to the studies that they were probably doing in some imperial base somewhere way out.
Why am I not
Which
surprised that the
I,
one idea that I thought was original was a deep cut?
It's a super deep cut.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry,
and,
Clark, I
and,
stepped
and
on
that
your
would have
words.
made a great, I don't know, bring Cal Kestis in.
Exactly.
You
Bring
know,
Ezra in.
You're
Like,
already bringing in elements of video games, so we don't need everything tied to the Skywalker.
Yeah.
Trilogy,
The further out
or,
the
you
further
know,
out you branch from the
stories.
Skywalkers, the better off you are with
the
Star
cooler
Wars. I
Star
think.
Wars gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to the old Republic. Those video games are some of the coolest video games out there, and that's where we get the Crate Dragon from. Is from the old Republic, from
Right.
the beginning of season 2. Dave
At least
Filoni's
the
just
way
throwing
it
all the deep
looks.
cuts in. Yeah,
Because
well,
it's
not
in the
even
very first Star Wars.
because they
It's
just
just
the
not
Crate Dragon
physically in it.
looks more like
It
a
was a skeleton.
looks like a dune worm. Yeah,
Well, I was
it was a
referring
skeleton
to
in
the-
KOTOR.
There's that like anti-predatory like Crate Dragon yell that Obi-Wan mimics
Oh.
in the very first Star Wars.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they changed
also,
it like 4 times with each restoration
Oh,
and
and the
special
new-
edition
yeah.
and all that
when
stuff. So,
when
like
R2 and
unrecognizable.
3PO are walking through the desert and that big
yeah.
skeleton.
That
big
yeah,
skeleton
that's
is
a
a
Crate
Crate
Dragon.
Which honestly looks so much smaller than it
is
did in
much-
Well,
Mandalorian.
that's the thing. In KOTOR, they were so much smaller. They were
Yeah.
supposed to be way smaller.
Yeah.
And then you get this giant dune worm.
and then John Favreau was like, "Yeah, but what if it was bigger?" Yeah.
And you know, I'm not
Continuity.
opposed to that. That was a really cool sequence.
So for
And
the- as
using
far
the
as-
Star
bantha
Wars
as like
strong
bait
suit.
and everything, that was
Yeah.
super cool.
That was great.
That was a throwback to KOTOR because you use a bantha to like lure a crate dragon that's
Yeah.
attacking the sand people.
But,
But
for
as far
some
as-
reason, I don't know, EA doesn't think single player games are what
And-
people
or
want.
people don't
But
want single player games.
I hope that they
yeah.
do
Well, I mean,
because
they
I
did
hope that the
do-
response to Jedi Fallen Order would be enough to let them
Yeah.
know that people
People
really
would like
enjoy
that.
this single,
Well, also
like
though-
Skyrim kind of gameplay.
But also with like the dog fighting aspect, like the shooters, you know, the space shooters, like
Oh,
Rogue
yeah.
Squadron back on N64.
Oh yeah.
Like
The
that
original
was such
Rogue
a
Squadron.
fucking awesome.
Which
game.
makes me think
Star
in
Wars
that movie there's just going to be a lot of
Starfighter,
space battles.
Jedi
Oh, yeah.
Power Battle.
It's gonna be 99% of the movie set in space.
No, what was it called? Jedi Starfighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Starfighter was cool. And that was when, from the prequel Jedi Starfighters that you get, that Anakin flies around in, those really cool, like, proto-A-Wings.
And now they've got this.
Oh,
The
the
Naboo
yellow from the
They-
beginning of Revenge of the Sith?
No, not the Naboo fighters, the one from...
Oh, with the
It's red and white, like, and it looks like an A-Wing. It's like a wedge shape. And R2 sits, like, up in the front, like, on the
Oh,
side.
It's the
Right,
one that.
right.
You mean the
uh,
triangle one from
at the
Attack of the
beginning
Clones
of,
that
uh,
Obi-Wan's
the
flying the
kinda
copper one?
yeah, right.
The one that
when-
Obi-Wan
At the beginning of
flies
3.
to.
One where Obi-Wan's bitching
Utapau?
at Anakin and
Or
how
Camino?
how he flies.
You're talking Camino?
They're in my behind. That one.
when he's got those little robots attacking his ship.
This guy right here. This is the ship.
Yeah, I was thinking the one Clark was
Or the
thinking.
yellow one, right? They did. Yeah, you're right. They
Those
did have a
ones.
yellow one too,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
'Cause I
And
have
you can
that-
kinda
that
see
Lego,
What's
the
really cool is
Anakin.
that
Is it the? They're in my behind.
right.
Shit.
Oh, from Backstroke of the West, yes.
Oh yeah,
that one that Obi-Wan is in.
Good, kind of.
they're in my behind.
In episode 2 with that like that hyperspace.
Yeah, they need a
disc,
hyperspace
you know,
ring, right? Like this.
We should make a disclaimer real quick. If you're a Star Wars fan, you're listening to this, and you have not seen Star Wars The Third Gathers Backstroke of the West on YouTube, search that
please.
and enjoy the next 2.5 hours
Say
of
it a
your
little
life.
slower.
Star Wars The Third Gathers Backstroke of the West.
Star Wars, Backstroke of the West. You'll find
Just
it.
Backstroke of the West, honestly. And
Even if you just watch the highlights.
yeah, there's like a 30-minute. It's great. It's English translated into Chinese, translated back into English.
It
and
is pure a la gold.
It's mean gold. Yeah, exactly.
You're going back to these Jedi
Oh,
Starfighters,
no.
though. One thing that I really
Oh,
appreciate
God.
is that is from a design aspect is like the front of these have this TIE fighter like
Yeah.
like hexagonal front
Yeah.
window that you got going on here.
Well, it's easy to go back and
then-
retcon that when
Oh,
you.
totally, right. But now you can see like kind of how they like you squash this design and suddenly you've got a
You've got an
a
A-wing.
TIE fighter.
Oh my
or
gosh,
Right.
You stretch out you stretch out a TIE fighter, you got an A-wing.
It's the
right?
same manufacturer. They just sent new molds.
Yeah, it's like a Volkswagen Bug and a Porsche.
There you go.
Stretch out a Bug and you get a Porsche. Yeah.
Basically,
Stretch out a
yeah.
TIE fighter, you get a Jedi
Just
Starfighter.
put a little bit of a bigger engine in it. That's fine. It's fine.
Could it look more
Those
like
TIE
the letter
fighters-
H?
No, this game was really awesome.
we-
Or those like special TIE fighters that they have, the ones where the guys that are in the there's those like the TIE
Wookiee.
fighters
The TIE
that have the like
interceptors with
the
the-
interceptors. Yeah, the ones that have the,
The pointy wings.
Yeah, those are cool. Or the new Inquisitor ships, right? Those are
Oh.
cool too. But Jedi Knight Star, I want another Jedi Academy game where you get to play as like
Oh, kind of like Force Unleashed.
kind of like Force Unleashed, but yeah, you're just in as far, now that Disney's doing the High Republic, right, during the pinnacle of Jedi, like being the most ascetic monks, like before they got corrupted by the dark side with Palpatine, right? Where you can just go back and just be another Jedi in the Academy, going through and just doing that whole thing.
If they throw in Grogu, I'm sold.
Oh, right. Or,
Just
another one of his
hobbling around.
species in a different name. It'd just be cool to add new characters, right?
By
they
the
can
way,
finally-
can we get the fucking
yes,
name
can we get the
to the Yoda Grogu series at some
Yaddle,
point,
Gro-
please?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
What is
Yaddle.
the naming, like, how to...
convention of
If you
Yeah.
can come up, if you can bullshit
What's
a
the
name like
convention
Grogu,
of naming those honestly
I think
Yeah.
I want to just say
no,
this
literally
out
what
straight
it
for the
is
record.
it what like, the naming convention of those species is George Lucas.
George Lucas.
smokes a joint and then he goes outside for like 20 minutes and he comes back in and he says one word and that's what it is.
See,
Yep.
I don't think it's that. I think it's he has a
Oh.
dictionary and then he falls asleep with it and then he wakes up and whatever he remembers he'll write down because it just combines words you already know.
Right.
But whoever is behind the naming at Lucasfilm now for Star Wars characters fucking sucks. They are
Yeah.
terrible at coming up with new character names. I don't know how hard it is to come up with nonsense that sounds catchy, but Grogu, like, obviously we weren't just gonna call him the child or Baby Yoda for eternity, but Grogu,
I think people
it's
could have
like,
survived with Baby Yoda
it does not
forever.
roll off the tongue the way Yoda does, or,
Yeah,
or these
right.
other names. It's like a
Wait.
garbled little Grogu, like. It
Din
sounds.
Djarin?
It
I think
sounds
Din
like Yoda.
Djarin's
That's a
an
cool
acceptable
name.
name.
That's one of the cooler
you know.
names
I don't
out
know.
there.
What can
Jaren is fine, but Din is kind of like it's like Finn or Poe or Ray. It's like the one
There's
syllable
a
thing kind of
monosyllable,
works,
yeah.
but like
what's the
don't.
Well, there's your Star Wars
one
Galaxies.
game? What was that one game on? It was also on computer. I'm trying to think of it.
What was in it?
Battletoads.
What was in it?
Yeah,
You were in the
what?
academy.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Jedi Academy?
Yeah, Star Wars Jedi
Jedi
Outcast.
Knight.
Jedi Knight Academy.
Knight.
Yeah,
Jedi
yeah,
Knight
yeah,
Academy,
Jedi,
yeah.
Jedi Knight. Jedi
Well, the cool
Academy.
thing about that was the online where you got to fight, like, with just a bunch of people with waving lightsabers around. And I just remember spamming, like, the jump key and just doing, like, Jedi spins and
That was
attacking. It had the
either the,
best swordplay.
prequel or the sequel to
There was two of them.
Jedi Outcast.
yeah, there was Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and then there was another one. That
Jedi
was in the
Knight.
yeah, Jedi Knight, right.
Jedi Outcast.
So
There you
let's
go.
let's go through the games that real quick. Let's just go through like since Disney acquired Star Wars, the games that have been released under like the EA.
Battlefront, Battlefront 2, and Fallen Order. I
Just
think.
those three. There
Just
wasn't
those
anything
three.
else before.
Oh, and now the VR one.
Not even like an
Oh,
MMORPG
yeah, the-
or.
No, I mean,
The
well, Star Wars
Squadrons.
Online.
Yeah, the new
Old
the-
Republic has been out forever, and it's been
Okay.
run by the same company forever.
Oh, so it's like kind of like
and
RuneScape.
it's canon.
Right.
It is kind of like RuneScape. It's been around for forever and a half.
Can you just click? I just want to. We have like a little Google thing up with all the games. I just hit that left arrow.
Hey,
and
Jamie,
just go
can
back
you-
to.
Oh
The,
yeah.
Hey Jamie, can you pull up the list of Star Wars games?
Yep.
Star Wars Squadrons actually sounds pretty cool. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
check
that's
that
the
out
new
when
one.
it comes out.
And that's that.
Oh,
is
so
that
they
the
just
VR
put
one
out
we're
the
talking
Old
about?
Republic, which wasn't Knights of the Old Republic, but it was in the same.
Star Wars: The Old Republic
Era.
is the online game.
Right.
Yeah.
What
And then you
else?
had Republic Commando, which was really cool, like forever ago.
So the point I guess we can
2005.
ultimately make about these games is that all of the nerdy fan service spamming shit that you could ever want are in these games.
Yeah.
And I think to just constantly pump it into the stories of like the movies and the TV shows in that degree, I think they need to scale it back just a little bit with the fan service and leave it to the video games where you can do all that non-canon kind of stuff. You know?
Well, Fallen, aside from Fallen Order, like, I'm sick of all these games being these multiplayer battle royale.
Like Counter-Strike,
Yeah.
sort of. Yeah,
Oh
like,
no, more like
Fortnite, but Star Wars.
Yeah.
yeah, Fort Wars.
Like, not every game needs to be a multiplayer.
This Squadrons,
You know.
that's the game I'm talking
And Rogue Squadrons originally came out in 1998.
8, right.
So
but
Damn.
Squadrons,
They,
this
again,
new
with the naming
one.
convention, they just take these video games and they rehash them with the new like branding.
So do you think it was like they
It's just
asked
like
Patty
Call
Jenkins
of
what
Duty,
movie she
Star
wanted to direct, and
Wars.
she had an
Okay.
old Rogue Squadron CD like in her basement,
oh, almost.
and
for
she's
sure.
like,
yeah.
"Huh, I wonder what this is about." She plopped it in.
Yeah.
What is Vader Immortal? I haven't heard of that.
That's the VR game
Oh,
where
yeah.
you get to
Oh,
fight.
right.
You get to fight Vader.
Well, here's the question.
And actually, you get to go to Mustafar in that apparently too.
Can we get a Star Wars announcement about maybe making Beat Saber canon? Because I haven't seen anything
Oh my God.
about that to date. Honestly, that's kind of upsetting.
Back in the '90s, there were all these like fighter games too, because there was the Rogue
Yeah.
Squadrons in '98. There was TIE Fighter in
Please insert your
'94.
coin.
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
There was X-wing versus TIE Fighter.
There's that super fucking hard one for
The-
Super Nintendo back in the day.
Let's just point out that the
Yeah.
Lego Star Wars games are always great.
They're
They have
actually
yet to
pretty
make
good.
a bad one. I want to play the
Yeah,
full
Lego.
anthology one when it comes out, the 1 through 9. Because I have the Force Awakens Lego Star Wars one, but I
Oh,
kind
that
of had
was a good
trouble
one.
finishing the plot
Clone
because it's
Wars,
like
yeah,
Wars,
yeah.
yeah.
once
that
you
was a
know
good
the
game.
Force Awakens, you don't want to do a bunch of side
I think
quests.
my
Here's Brandon's
favorite,
favorite Jedi Power Battles.
Yes. that is
my
the
my
best.
favorite classic Star Wars game is Shadows of the Empire.
Oh, there you
Wasn't
go.
that a
was
book?
It was a book as well.
That was on Super Nintendo.
Oh, Rebel Strike! I remember that
I
game.
think.
Some of these are almost like tabletop games.
Like
They have some
MMORPGs.
tabletop games.
What was that Halo one? Halo Wars?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Kind of like that. So, yeah. Disney loves money, and they spent a lot of it to acquire Disney.
Star Wars.
And they spent a lot of money to acquire their own company, as well as Lucasfilm. I didn't misspeak. But, so part of the Star Wars expanded universe before it became Legends and all this, there was a shitload of books from like the 80s to, I want to say like 2010 or 11, just that for like decades, there were all these expanded universe books. And
I read a few of them.
yeah, I have a shitload of them, and I never started reading because I knew there would be a lot to get into when I was a kid. I just liked lightsabers and all that stuff. But so, I can't remember if it's LucasArts or who put out all these Star Wars properties. I hope that the toilet came through on the headphones, because that's good stuff. Very professional. This episode is brought to you by toilets.
All right. We'll edit that in post.
No, it's fine. This is gold. So all these books.
Oh boy.
Wait, our audio setup is so good you can hear like
I remember the only Star Wars book I read, and I never did finish, but
like a novel, not just like one of those.
right. It was
Visual dictionary
The
things.
Mandalorian Armor.
Yeah, like
And
that
it-
whole
so,
culture thing.
Yeah, it was a.
Didn't they even have like a Boba Fett book
I
series
think
or like
it
a
was
Jango Fett
Boba
book
Fett
series?
centric. Honestly.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at it.
That's I think like that's like the area where I think they
I never did
pulled
read
a lot
much
from
of it
for
back then. but-
Mandalorian.
I remember reading some book where, like, it was Luke was running the academy, and it was when I was in Alaska in like 2002. My cousin had this book, like a lot of these books, and I just picked a random one, and I didn't know anything about it, and I decided to read it, and it was like Han Solo and Chewbacca were doing like skiing.
As you do. They're on Hoth.
They were doing some kind of like patrol, like they were patrolling. It was like some kind of like patrol thing, but they were on some kind of like the way it sounded, or from what I remember, is at least like a 12-year-old kid, is they were like on some kind of skis, some kind of machine skis.
Right.
And it was also while like Luke had the academy, so it was like going back and forth between their stories, but they were in different places.
So I like that they at least kept that part consistent for the setting up the sequels, even if they turned out to be trash. So speaking about the books, the main reason I wanted to bring it up is because there was a story that came out recently, and I think I texted Brandon about this, but I want to bring it up here because it's kind of a further example of Disney being a shitty corporate entity. So there's all these Star Wars books, and dozens of authors have contributed to these, filling out the nitty gritty details of these unseen, moments in the Star Wars canon. And, it's not easy in the modern digital age for paperback writers to survive on just that alone. It's not a very lucrative industry anymore. But just because of that doesn't mean that their copyright and their royalties that they're owed and all of this stuff doesn't just go away the second that Disney drops $4 billion so they can make a bunch of movies that don't make money.
Don't make money.
I mean, they do, but, not as much as they expected. So, recently these authors have announced that they haven't seen, like, anything in the last 8 years since the Lucasfilm purchase that, in terms of, like, royalties for their books or any of this stuff that, like, it might not be considered canon, but that doesn't mean that they are still owed, like, royalties, and they're still, like, especially if you're going to recycle ideas and claim them as new when it comes to, like, breaking into the expanded universe that Disney wants it to be, you should at least give a fucking credit to the people that came up with this stuff, instead of just, slapping someone else's name on it because of Writers Guild.
Well, how does it work
Hollywood
with,
political bullshit.
old video games or something?
I feel like LucasArts probably has some sort of structure in place. You know what I mean? Or like EA or whoever the head of all this stuff is supposed to. You're supposed to cover all your bases, and like there are plenty of forms of media for Star Wars. We've been talking about it for fucking an hour and a half, and books are still a part of it. They're still making Star Wars books. I don't know who's reading them besides children, but they're making them. So I don't know. I wanted to point out that Disney may be trying to give us all these goodies to try and get our minds off of the shit that they do, but they still do some bad shit. Mm-hmm. So just pay your fucking authors. Just give them more than the government will fucking give them. You can afford it. You're fucking Disney.
We don't need another writer's strike. Long story short.
Well, I mean, if there's a writer's strike for books, I'm not sure if the world will feel the impact. But just give the fucking authors their royalties, you bitches. So all I have left is theme parks and the recent Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, which we just watched today as a group. Theme parks, there's not really a lot to talk about. Yeah, they didn't have a great opening because when you open a theme park with only 2 attractions and like a bunch of gift shops, not a great pull for the family.
Open?
I want to say
2018.
Was it 2018?
2018,
okay.
Like summer 2018?
Yeah.
My buddy that I work with went last year, and then my buddy that I work with went this year. Both of them went, and one of them went and put the $200 deposit down to buy the lightsaber, and then was in line for one of the 2 attractions and missed his appointment, and you don't get your deposit back if you miss it.
That's terrible.
What? To get a custom lightsaber?
Yeah.
What?
That's like
because you're on a ride at their own theme park.
That's fucking
You have
shitty.
to be ready to go at the time that your thing is set up for.
You can get them
put the
online
deposit
now,
down.
though.
That's
Yeah,
Galaxy's
you can
Edge,
do like,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Theme
You
park.
can you can go do it online, or you can
People
do
are
it like
3D
whatever.
printing
But like
that
if you
shit.
want to go through the whole experience, because it's like they like do this like test or whatever.
Kind
and,
of like Harry Potter, find your wand.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly like that. And
Find
then,
your
like,
kyber
I
crystal.
think you'd be better off at Pandora Land, honestly.
And then honestly, I showed this to Clark a while back. There was a video where some guy had like used the kyber crystal that they have there and like hooked it up through a little USB reader thing, and was able to like hack into
change all the colors?
the base level of the code, and you could change the colors for it to be whatever you want. But, like
Nice.
when you get it from the park, it's just the one color that you end up getting.
Oh,
Like
damn.
after you do your little
Yeah.
storyline thing, like it's like, oh, yours is orange. Da da da.
I
Here
went
it
to
is.
Yeah.
I went to Disney World back in like '97
With Star
my
Tours?
family, and they had a Star Wars set up there.
Star Tours, right?
Yeah, Star Tours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Sure.
classic. I'm
Yeah, with
really,
C-3PO and
honestly
R2.
not happy with the fact that that doesn't exist anymore, and now it's...
Did they get rid of that?
Yeah.
It was there last time I went. Just
Was it?
2000. Yeah, it was right
2008?
around the time. It was no.
6 when
No,
we went?
no. After that, it was.
It might depend on which park. I think it might have been...
It was the one in Florida, so it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they ditched the Star Tours in Florida when Galaxy's Edge
World.
opened, and then now they
Right.
have Rise of the... Not Rise of the... Is it Rise of the Resistance? The name of
I
the...
think that's what it is.
And-
yeah.
and,
they retooled the ride just like
California?
they usually do, and they
Right.
added new name.
I heard it was super lame. Aside from being in a
Yeah.
giant... are they Star Destroyers in the sequels? What the fuck are they called?
Yeah, they're still Star Destroyers.
And the Star Destroyer hangar, that's like the set of the main lobby of the... I just don't get it. Like, I think I heard that there was like a... they're planning on... Either someone said that they should do it, or that it is happening, that they're doing like a hotel thing.
Right, they are doing that currently. A
Where
Star
you
Wars themed
yeah,
hotel.
where it's like $2,000 a night, and you stay in like a pod, and it's like a role-playing...
yes.
Like you're on a Wall-E kind of ship.
Yep, you're doing.
Yeah.
You're LARPing while you're staying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which,
so-
like, it's like Westworld, but you don't get to fuck anyone. So, what's the... Besides maybe your own hand in the pod,
Who
but,
do
like...
you want to fucking Star Wars?
The Twi'lek girls.
No.
No.
I bet
They
you
don't do it for you?
Asai Ventress gives some good dome.
If it wasn't regressive and like completely anti-feminist, I would say Carrie Fisher in Return of the Jedi. But
Yeah.
she
That's,
got completely.
That's actually canon.
That's not.
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Let's wrap this up with talking about the newest Star Wars thing that exists. The Star Wars Lego Holiday Special. Harking
That's
back
fun.
to the original Star Wars Holiday
I
Special.
wasn't a
cute.
fan, honestly.
It was fine.
I didn't
cute.
think it was that.
It was fine for what it was, which is a little silly cartoon for kids.
It
that-
was a mix between like Scrooge and the what is it? The Christmas.
It's a Wonderful Life.
No, what did you say? It was like the sequels meets Bill and Ted. Sequel?
Yeah,
There you
like
go.
Doctor
Sequels
Who,
meets
Bill and Ted.
Doctor Who.
Bill and Ted was a
That's
good
what I'm saying. It's
yeah.
like the Ghost of Christmas Past.
But I don't even think it was that good of a Lego movie. Like
No.
there wasn't that.
no,
There wasn't any.
There wasn't a need
the
for them to be
Lego-ness
like.
wasn't there.
Yeah, they didn't.
That's a weird
Address
point.
that.
Weird flex, but okay.
I think-
see what you're saying.
here's what I think.
Like in the Lego movies, people fall apart. Lego pieces go flying.
Right.
Right.
Here's what I think about that. I think it's
They're
easier
aware that they're
to
Legos.
animate the Lego models than it is like the full-fledged like
Oh,
Rebels,
actual
Clone
Lego,
Wars models. So I think that's the only. It's probably literally just a time and cost saving measure to make
Makes
them
sense.
Legos.
I don't know.
And
I
merchandising,
feel like
of course.
Oh, for sure.
Merchandising.
Yep.
Everyone has time now, so I don't.
Right. Well,
understand
obviously, I
why
think that
couldn't,
they probably started that in production
They couldn't have done a
before.
better job there.
I don't know.
The time travel kind of threw me.
I just think the existence of it is interesting
it's
because
just cute.
Grabbing
Yeah.
everybody from different
Sure.
like time periods of Star Wars, like
I thought
'cause
it was
it's
funny
like-
how they had Darth Maul like as just a
chopped in half.
Yeah.
Right.
From the Phantom Menace. Yeah.
it's filled with memes, but that's because it sort of is a meme by
In
existing.
and of
Yeah.
itself.
The
yeah.
Star Wars Holiday Special, the original one,
Right.
is like an infamous
It's a meme of a
for how
meme.
shitty it is.
But that's where we get the Mandalorian blaster from.
Even that
Incinerator.
they acknowledge it in the first episode
Just
of
as-
the Mandalorian.
As
They
much
allude
as I
to Life Day.
love all of the Lego movies that have come out so far, you know, how
Right.
great those have been. And
Well, this is just like those.
like
We're gonna
this
air this
one
on
is
Disney XD in
so
between shows,
lackluster.
kind of quality.
I'm not.
I'm sure it was a blast with.
I'm not
kids.
trying to make excuses. I'm not saying you can't make it good, even if that's the level of demographic you're aiming for. But
But that
the
is
fact that it
certainly
exists as like a meta commentary on
Yeah.
the fact that the Star Wars Holiday Special exists, it's now considered canon, and we're also gonna do it again in our own weird little
and
way.
Finn
it's
gets a
very
lightsaber.
self-aware too. Like
Yeah.
the writers were very much aware.
whoever
Oh, they
wrote
knew
that.
what was up,
they were
for sure.
they were more meme kind of fanboys than Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni's just like a straight nerd.
I just
He's
think
just
they
like
could
he
have
was, like,
animated
weird.
it in any other style.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
it would have been the same.
Well, it's like those like
the
that
Lego
movie Sing.
factor. I
It's
wish
like-
was played on more.
It's like that movie Sing, right? Where it's like a singing competition movie, but for some reason every character is an animal. But they don't have animal characteristics. They don't have animal roles like Zootopia. They're just animals because it sells tickets and kids like movies that star funny talking
Yeah.
animals. So that's it. That's the main reason.
Jenny and I have been watching this show, The Masked Dancer.
Same
Not
thing.
the Masked Singer.
It's a
Is it a
it's
shoot
a
off?
branch off of that.
Oh, they already have a spinoff.
But
do.
dancing has absolutely nothing to do
With the fact that
with the rest of
you
the
don't
show.
know who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you could take out that whole aspect of the show and it would still be all the same.
You're saying it
getting
could
all
have been
the
done
same
any other way than Legos,
clues.
and it would have been the same movie because there was no Lego-ness about it,
doesn't-
right?
yeah.
You know what? The
But
fact that
that's
it's just like a
that's like a main part of it that it's
Yeah.
being like advertised as, you know,
well, they could have literally had kids with like
and it's not there.
real Legos, just like moving
At
them
the
around,
end or
like
whatever.
that could have been the whole special.
Well, I
is what
mean,
I'm
that
saying,
could've been cool.
and it wouldn't have made a difference.
with the original Lego movie, like it was
It's
so
animated
well
like-
done.
yeah.
I originally thought they were just actually using Legos and like it was
Because they were trying to
stop
mimic
motion.
that with the CGI animation, which is why it looks so authentic. And then this, it's just they're Lego characters because the Legos
Why
sell
are they
money.
textured?
Because Disney
They sell
owns
toys.
like
It makes no fucking sense.
what was that?
But I mean, it was cute for what it was.
I think
Clearly-
it's like if you had a large sized Lego, it would be a little weird if it was completely polished and smooth. To me,
Yeah,
I think
on
it'd be-
video,
it would be
it's a
if you
little
look
weird.
close
Right.
up, like with a microscope at a Lego piece, there are like a fair amount of
Divots and
textures
things, right.
around
Yeah,
the
you're
little,
right.
at least on the like hands and like some of the fancier hair pieces.
Right.
So I get they're probably trying to like elaborate on that sort of detail. But yeah, it is a little distracting when you're watching it on screen because it's in like
Yeah.
HD quality. But it's probably like a flex. It's like when
Characters were
they
silly.
do Kurt Russell's young 1980s face in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. They're like, look, we can do this.
Yep.
They
Look,
could
we
have done
can.
like
Weird flex, but
Adventure
okay.
Time animation or anything
Oh, absolutely.
else. And, like,
Well,
it
that's
would've been
why
the
it'll be
same
interesting to
movie.
see the stuff they've announced. Because it seems like they are going to prioritize different styles than just
Yeah.
cheap 3D animation.
Well, can you tell us a bit about how you feel about sand?
It's rough.
I don't like sand.
It's coarse.
It's coarse and rough. And it
Gets
gets everywhere.
All right, gang.
Does he say I don't like sand or I hate sand?
I hate
Is it going to
sand.
be like Han
Do
shot
some more.
first?
Do some more Anakin. I need more Anakin.
Ah, fuck.
There's not enough good
Every time I'm put
dialogue
on the
for
spot
Anakin.
to do an impression, I can't remember any of his awful dialogue.
Pull up some dialogue.
What was it? Padme is out
Hey,
on
Jamie.
the balcony and she's brushing her hair, and Anakin walks out and he's like leaning on the door frame. Fuck. I'm not enough of a nerd to remember it line for line, but it's something along the lines of like, why are you looking at me like that? It's only because you're so beautiful. Only because you're so in love. No, it's only because I'm so in love with you.
So love is blind to you?
Well, that's not exactly what I meant to say.
Oh, poor Anakin. His poor butchered dialogue.
I don't think she liked me watching her while she sleeps.
I hate sand.
Bosiki Chanwa Wado. Machulimaka Shmi Skywalker. That's a hard word to say. Shmi shells down by the Shmi shore. But anyway, there's a lot of Star Wars. There's a shitload of it. We just talked about it. I hope if you listen to this, you enjoyed it, and all of our non sequiturs. We'll try and do this again at some point. Who knows? Maybe
Whenever
next
there's
year.
new Star
When there's
maybe
more
a few
stuff to
months
talk
from now.
about,
Yeah.
I guess. Like,
Which, if it's Star Wars, it'll be every fucking week, but we won't be back that often. I'm just saying there will be a lot more Star Wars to come, as we previously have discussed. So, everyone have a good 2021 if you can. Life is a meaningless existence, and we're all going to die someday. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. And by see you, I mean you'll listen to us talk.
May the force be with you.
And also with you. Good night.
All right, y'all.
Peace out.
We said